Right now at 6, unsolved cases that could be connected to a local serial killer.
Sometimes you don't know what information you have or if it is of importance until you talk to an investigator.
How investigators are hoping to drum up new info on the murders and disappearances from the 1970s. Plus, a KGW investigation, an Oregon family hit with a $60,000 bill for an emergency flight to save their child's life.
It's mind-boggling and it's infuriating that this can occur.
Why their insurance refused to pay and what happened when they pushed back. And the Oregon coast banking on a big haul of Dungeness crab to make up for lost time.
It's for some, it's half of the income for the whole year, financially. For some others, it's about a third.
Why the season is again off to a delayed start. Thanks for joining us. I'm Tim Gordon. We begin with a KGW investigation into an air ambulance ride for a little girl in Southern Oregon. She needed emergency surgery and was airlifted from Medford to Portland. But then came a surprise. Insurance refused to cover the air ambulance, leaving her family with a $60,000 bill. Here's investigative reporter Kyle Aboshi. And Kyle, I can only imagine the family's frustration with this.
Yeah, the little girl's family has been fighting this for more than a year, one appeal after another. But at every step, the insurance company has denied their claim, suggesting the airlift wasn't medically necessary. Our investigation found that's a common excuse being used elsewhere around the country to deny claims involving costly air ambulance transport. Typically, there's no slowing down Gracelyn Guyette. So when she came into the house looking cold and pale and couldn't move her arm after taking a fall, her mom Crystal knew something must be seriously wrong.
I think that's what concerned me most as a mother is your child is just kind of like listless and her eyes seem kind of distant.
After examining an x-ray of her arm, doctors at an urgent care clinic sent Gracelyn to the nearest emergency room, Asante Rogue Regional Medical Center in Medford.
This is very severe. They're like, this is really, really bad.
Hospital records listed Gracelyn's admission type as emergent severe or life-threatening. The then 5-year-old had suffered a broken elbow at the growth plate and required emergency surgery. She needed to be airlifted immediately, the hospital explained, because no pediatric orthopedic surgeon was available locally. Why couldn't they treat her here?
They didn't have a doctor that was insured. It was an insurance concern to operate on a 5-year-old.
Hospital staff made arrangements for an air ambulance to transport Gracelyn from Medford to Portland, a roughly 50-minute flight avoiding icy roads and any possible delay.
It would feel odd as a parent when all these doctors are telling you she's got to go by air ambulance now to be like, nope, wait,
Photos from February 25th, 2022 show Gracelyn being loaded into a small plane. The air ambulance, operated by Mercy Flights, flew Gracelyn and her mother to Portland, where she underwent emergency surgery at OHSU Dornbecker Children's Hospital. The procedure was effective, and soon Gracelyn returned home to Southern Oregon. Then, the bill came. The insurance company, Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield, expected Gracelyn's family to pay the full air ambulance bill, nearly $60,000.
It's mind-boggling and it's infuriating that this can occur.
The insurer was willing to pay for the ambulance on the ground, to and from the airport, but not the airplane. According to its denial letter, Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield determined that Gracelyn's air ambulance ride was not medically necessary.
There's nothing that I can possibly think of that we would have done differently in this situation, and yet, here we are.
The family appealed, as did the air ambulance provider Mercy Flights. But at every turn, Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield denied their claim.
Every time we appeal, I think, okay, they got to get it right this time.
And Gracelyn's family isn't alone.
We got this $60,000 bill in the mail, and we're like, this is strange, we have insurance.
Our station in Denver, KUSA, has reported on other families facing hefty air ambulance bills after their insurance claims were denied.
$60,000, and their insurance company, Anthem, said it wouldn't pay.
You're just floored. You're like, seriously?
Earlier this year, a group of ER doctors wrote to federal health officials saying they've seen a spike in denials of claims, often involving air ambulance bills. The reason? Doctors say the No Surprises Act. The federal law intended to protect patients from unexpected medical bills. Insurers can get around the law if they determine care is not medically necessary, and insurers themselves get to decide what that means.
So there absolutely is a major problem going on that's affecting more and more families.
We emailed Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield in late November. 9 days later, a spokesperson responded, explaining, "We did not originally receive the necessary medical information to justify air transport, but after receiving more information, the claim was approved."
What's your reaction?
We're thrilled. We're very happy.
Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield wouldn't say who failed to provide the necessary medical information. Both the hospital, Asante, and the air ambulance company, Mercy Flights, declined to comment.
The appeal that we sent that they've just approved was identical to what was sent before. So it was maybe a new set of eyes that looked at it. But I think certainly the pressure of having media on them is really probably what made this get approved.
Graceland's parents say the bill felt like a dark cloud hanging over their family finances. They're relieved to have things cleared up. They just wish it hadn't taken so long.
The same thing happened in those cases in Denver. Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield denied the claims for months until the media started asking questions. Only then did the insurance company approve the claims. This certainly is an issue we hope to continue exploring in the next few months because there's a lot more here.
Right, and for that family, it's great to see them smiling at the end, but what a roller coaster for them. Kyle, thanks so much. In your headlines now, the man accused of killing his estranged wife near Mount Hood appeared at Clackamas County Court via video for the first time today. Prosecutors say Michael Fournier killed Susan Lane Fournier, also known as Phoenix, late last month. A month prior, Lane Fournier had filed for divorce from Michael, citing irreconcilable differences. Friends in the Welch's community spent days searching the area looking for her and her two dogs. Her body was found not far from her home in Brightwood the day after Thanksgiving. Michael Fournier was arrested that day and charged with a murder. He's being held without bail. A trial date was set for January 21st. A person is in custody after a stabbing at a business in the Northwest Industrial District overnight. It happened just after 9 on Northwest St. Helens Road near Lake Street. Police say the victim was stabbed multiple times and taken to the hospital with serious injuries. They're expected to survive. The suspect was found a short distance away and was arrested. 3 people are behind bars after Portland police say they robbed a person at gunpoint. The victim was homeless and living in a camping trailer that the suspects hooked up to a pickup and drove away with. It happened Thursday on Southeast Flavel Street near 92nd Avenue. Police say they tracked the suspects with an aerial unit as they drove away and saw 2 of them jump into a getaway vehicle that was also reported stolen. A 4th person still at large.
All right, Tim, thanks very much. We had a beautiful day today after the morning fog burned off, right? In Salem, it's still fog-free at the moment, but check the humidity out. It's up to 89%, closing in, of course, on 100%. Fog's going to form in Salem. It's 39 degrees there. In Portland, we're going to remain fog-free as we are right now because the east wind is blowing. I'll show you that in a second, but there is fog down around Eugene and over around Ontario. We'll see a lot more in the valley overnight tonight and the valleys of eastern Oregon, too. And the reason, of course, that we don't get foggy is because that east wind is not very strong yet, only 6 miles an hour at Troutdale, but sustained upwards of 20 at Crown Point, higher gusts, and that's going to provide enough mixing of the air to keep Portland from having any thick fog issues overnight tonight. But south of town and even out towards Hillsborough, we may get some fog for a bit. East winds are developing, though. We get valley rain and mountain snow coming in this weekend, and even some rain before that on Thursday, Tim. So December is going to give us some more beautiful sunshine, but then get back to the business of winter precipitation. Back to you.
All right, thanks a lot, Matt. Well, now at 6, detectives are hoping new technology will help solve several cold cases tied to a convicted serial killer in Clark County. Devin Haskins is live outside the sheriff's office with this new effort to solve the mysteries. And Devin, what are investigators telling you tonight?
Well, Tim, investigators once again bringing this case back into the public's view after reopening the cold case unit the sheriff reinstated earlier this year. It's made up of volunteers, former detectives, some of which even worked on the original case back in the 1970s. And like you said, they're also hoping that new DNA technology helps solve some of these cold cases that are nearly 50 years old. Detectives believe Warren Forrest is tied to the disappearance, kidnapping, or murder of 8 women between 1971 and 1974. He's currently serving 2 life sentences for the murders of 20-year-old Krista Blake and 17-year-old Martha Morrison. Inside Forrest's van, detectives recovered nearly 70 pieces of hair they say believe may be tied to one of several missing persons or unsolved murder cases, including 20-year-old Carol Valenzuela, whose body was found near one of Forrest's other victims in a remote part of East Clark County. Investigators are now hoping new DNA technology will help this cold case.
With genetic genealogy, if you have a sample that's unknown to you, there are ways to try and locate, where the source of that sample. Potentially those hair samples could be just people that had a legitimate reason to be with Warren Forrest. They could be completely unrelated, or they could be additional victims that we have not connected to his case yet.
The Sheriff's Office is asking if you know anything about these cases. They want you to call their cold case tip line. We have that number for you. It's on the bottom of your screen. It's 564-397-2036. Tim?
All right, Devin, thanks very much for the report. Well, Governor Tina Kotek wants a remote part of southeast Oregon made into a national monument, putting it off limits for development. But it's getting pushback from the Republican congressman who represents that area. Senators Ron Wyden and Jeff Merkley have tried to pass legislation for the past 5 years to protect the Oahe Canyon lands in Malheur County. With time running out in President Biden's term, supporters are pushing for a national monument designation.
The Canyonlands is just an incredibly wild, remote, amazing part of Oregon, and it's something that supports a rich cultural history, a tremendous amount of biological diversity, and it's one of those just gems of the high desert that we want to see protected now and forever.
But not everyone thinks it's best to get the White House involved. Republican Congressman Cliff Bentz introduced his own legislation to protect the area, but environmental groups objected to it. In just a half hour from now, Pat Doris will compare the bills and get into what protection means and what it would still allow. It's coming up at 6:30 on The Story, only on KGW.